If you're like me, you've been wondering how much of the conversation around AI agents is hype versus actual reality. Today, we cut through the noise with Zendesk CEO Tom Eggemeier as the company launches its AI-powered Zendesk Resolution Platform in a conversation today brought to you by Zendesk. Tom, great to see you. Welcome to the show.
Great to be seeing you as well, Alex.
All right, so you are working on AI agents. It's a term that we've been hearing all over the place from almost every AI company and every non-AI company. Everybody's been talking about agents. The one thing we're trying to figure out on this channel is what's real and what's not. And it seems like there's a lot that's not. But rarely do we get to speak with someone who's actually developing the technology ground up, and that's you. So just give us a sense as to what the lay of the land is right now, where we stand with AI agents, what's real, and what is hype.
So I think AI, I'm old enough to remember when 20 years ago, there was just going to be this AI revolution with machine learning and predictive analytics. I hate to say it, but old school AI. And I think there was a lot of hype there, but there wasn't much delivery. I will tell you overall, I think large language models are actually changing the game. I believe in the old adage that technology impacts in the short term we overestimate, in the long term we underestimate. I think that's what's going to happen with large language models. For customer service in particular, we are seeing AI agents really transform particularly our business to consumer customers. We're seeing some people get 60, 70, 80% what we call automated resolution. So a consumer comes into their business, they can actually solve the problem with an AI agent 60, 70, 80% of the time. We see B2B businesses lower, like 20, 30, 40%. What the hype is probably is I see a lot of people go out to companies and say, we can solve 80, 90% of your interactions with your customers. Not solve them, but solve your customers' problems in a matter of, we'll implement in a day, we'll have you up to 80% in a matter of days. It's all going to be good and you're going to have no mistakes. And so I think that is the hype. I think there's still some hard work behind getting people to 60, 70, 80%, even if they're a business to consumer company, and 20, 30, 40% if they're a business to business. But I think the hype is real overall. AI agents can solve consumers' problems. I think we're going to get into, there's a little bit of a hype right now about you having your own personal bot contacting a company. I don't think that's working really, really well yet, but it's going to come. And so I think the hype is actually justified, and we're seeing the impacts with our customers right now.
Okay, so let me talk to you about this for a minute, because we've been hearing about automation. There's been robotic process automation before there was AI agents. There have been automated customer service chatbots for a long time. So I'd love to just pause here for a minute for you to talk about what the difference is between, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago and now. And then even more than that, what are the type of ramping up capabilities you've seen from AI, generative AI companies recently that's allowed you to be able to do more than you have been able to do in the past?
Yeah, so I think a couple things are different. First, agentic AI buzzword, okay, I recognize that, but I think bots are actually able to reason now, where in the past 3 or 4 years ago, you would have an AI bot, but behind the covers, it was like 95% rules-based. If X, do Y, decision trees, things like that. And so people would, triumph it. Hey, we got a really great AI agent. Or AI bot. It really was rules-based. It was 90, 95% of the underlying technology. With agentic AI and with the latest large language models, you are really able to take an input into information, take the large language model, do some post-training, and it can get the right answer just an incredible amount of the time, and it can reason. And so I think that's one of the differences. The second difference is you're able to personalize them so easily right now. I can't use the pop star, but think of a major pop star, and she was releasing an album. And she wanted to have an experience that the bot, the AI agent, was going to be a little more in her tone when she was interacting with her fans. And we were able to personalize that in a way that the fans had just a truly fantastic experience, like that they were talking to the artist. And I don't think you could have done that personalization really easily 3 or 4 years ago. And I don't think you could get to the personalization of a company that they wanted to have really a tone with the brand. I know we have an options, 3 like default options. Do you want a professional? Do you want casual? Or do you want some kind of hybrid? And do you want to go in different languages with the customer? There's just a lot of personalization that's easy to turn on. Finally, Alex, I'd say it's easy to get up to speed. In the past, you would do a lot of customization, and there are 6, 9, 12-month projects because you'd have to take all this data in, you'd have to go put all these decision trees, these rules, you'd have the bot on top of this. We can get a bot or an AI agent up and running in a matter of days. With a lot of personalization. So I think it's a lot easier right now to go implement and to get a high resolution rate. So for all those reasons, there is some hype. Don't misunderstand me, and I don't want to be too on top of the hype cycle. But we're just seeing like really, really strong automation rates and strong impacts on our customers.
And we are going from, I think that you mentioned, we're going from if-then statements basically to a broader range of possibilities, and you're going to see more powerful stuff come out because of that. And we just had a conversation with the people that built the new Alexa Plus here on the channel, and they are also saying, yeah, we basically, I mean, my reporting said it was a if-then tree. They want to talk about the new technology. They're now moving to something that leaves a much more broad space of possibility open to their new assistant. Now, there's an interesting component to that, which is you go from deterministic technology where it says, if this happens, then this should happen. If I say, a word, and I won't say it because it will, not that a word, the a word that summons this assistant, turn on the lights, it knows, okay, I'll turn on the lights, and
Sure.
then the lights go on. But when you're living in the world of large language models, there's so much more that's left open to chance or probability. You're in more, as they call it, probabilistic space. So I don't know how, we still haven't seen Alexa Plus. Maybe it'll come out by the time this interview hits. But I don't know how you do that in business because you really, in a business, you're kind of risking a lot if you start to leave that open. So how does that work?
Yeah, so we take some off-the-shelf large language models, and we actually have 18 billion interactions that are anonymized in a database with people rating customer interactions a positive or negative. Real simple, thumbs up, thumbs down. And we do a lot of post-training on our models, the basic models after the fact, to try to get their probability, to your point, win rate, their resolution rate as high as possible. And what's interesting, when a bot makes an error, they do make errors. It's a hallucination. When a human makes an error, it's a mistake. And what we find right now is on our next generation agentic AI bot, we have a lower error rate than a human being from a contact center, support center, answering like for like inquiries. And so when we talk to our customers, we say, look, there are going to be some errors, 100%. It is going to happen. Just like a human being, no matter how much you train them, how much you work with them, are going to have some errors. But what we're finding generally is you can serve your customers at a much lower cost. You can get your customer satisfaction up because if you have a personalized bot that can instantaneously respond versus waiting online for 5 minutes or 10 minutes for someone to respond to your email, your message, your chat, your web form, your phone call, you're generally more satisfied. And the error rate is actually lower. Okay. And so there's some things that you can protect yourself that you could hard code in still, like, hey, I don't want to share any personally or take in any personally identifiable information to the bot. You could have a hard code rule to protect some things, particularly for regulated industries. But overall, bots are quicker, they cost less, and they have better customer satisfaction. So, I think it's a win-win-win if you implement them correctly.
Yeah, and there were some early examples that were floating around the internet of, I don't think it was Zendesk, but like companies setting up bot customer service and them like giving them 50% discounts on a Mercedes. I'm making this up, but it's directionally along the lines of what it was. But what you're saying is now You can actually set some rules in to make sure that stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think you can lower the error rate. I just like if you train your human agents really well, you could
Yeah.
still have errors. And it's kind of funny. Some of the things, it's a competitor, so I hate to give them a pass, but I will. There was a airline company that had an issue with a bot to one of our competitors. When they went into the details and figured it out, it sounds like what it was actually was a documentation error on the company that the bot took information in. And so again, this is why documentation, knowledge, we call something a knowledge graph that we have, inputting information. It's really important to have accurate information and to scrub that information because, the bot does reason, the AI agent reasons, the AI agent gets personalized, the AI agent takes in information, but the bot is only as good as the information it's taken in.
Okay, well, justice for the bot. This was clearly a human error where they uploaded the wrong stuff. And I want to publicly apologize for defaming that bot, and hopefully it doesn't take legal action against me. So
I hope so too, Alex. And again, I think it's going to be cool with stuff like Alexa. And I'm worried I have Alexa right next to me that it's going to turn on here. But Alexa talking to an AI agent that's powered by Zendesk, I really think that's going to come over the next 6 or 12 months, and we're going to have some really cool use cases where the consumer is there using their own bot to interact with a company's AI agent, and it's just going to really take a lot of friction out of the system. And so I'm kind of excited when we see that. We've got examples of that, but on scale, I think it's coming with Amazon and Apple and Google and everyone else coming out with these personal assistants.
I'm definitely looking forward to bot communication, and I do want them to develop their own language just to be beep booping the information back and forth and ditch natural language. Maybe we can
whenever
get that
I hear that,
point.
I think of Star Wars, by the way. I think of Star Wars, the same kind of thing.
Yeah, C-3PO was onto something, right?
Yeah,
Everyone made fun of him for beeping, but actually turns out we're the inefficient ones.
Exactly.
Was it C or R2D2? Anyway, my knowledge is getting rusty. But this is also coming at a moment where you have big news around this topic, which is that you're launching the Zendesk Resolution Platform. This is brand new, and there's lots of news in there in terms of how you're going to enable people to build agents and serve your customers with agents. And I think, again, as we started out with the beginning, there's a lot of people philosophizing about agentic AI, buzzword it might be, but again, as you said, you're doing it. So tell us a little bit, and it's great to have you here as you announce it. Tell us what is coming today.
Sure. So we're announcing at our customer event, March 25th to 27th in Las Vegas, our Global Relate event, that we're launching what we're calling our resolution platform. We have a couple of kinds of points of view here. One, that AI for service is unique. It must handle, to our earlier conversation, unpredictability. It's high stakes a lot of times. And a lot of times it's a customer that's interacting that's having an issue. So you really need to think about when an AI agent handles something, when a human agent handles something to solve the customer's problem. And we've built the resolution platform to solve problems, not just manage tickets. So it's integrating AI, automation, and human expertise for real outcomes. I'll talk a little bit at Relate about how one of our competitors is charging per interaction. And companies and customers don't care if they have an interaction. They care if they get their problem solved. And so we're really pushing this resolution platform. And the whole premise behind it and how we built it is, how do we go help companies solve their customers' problems or their employees' problems or their business problems? And so that's what we're doing. So other people are looking at isolated AI agents. We're delivering an intelligent, coordinated AI and human network that's well-trained. It's like a well-trained search and rescue team. It's not going to replace human agents. We think we have got a point of view that there's always going to be human agents. It's going to enhance them, and it's going to take off a lot of the low difficult task off their table that the resolution platform can go solve.
All right, so can you just walk us through, because we'd love to hear the practical examples, how would a customer basically use this platform?
Yeah, a customer would use this platform, say, what we do is we come in for our larger customers. For our smaller customers, we will go real quick, analyze their ticket data or their customer interaction data. And we say, we think there's an opportunity to automate 40% of those interactions, okay? And we think we can go do that with you in 2 or 3 months. or 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 days, depending on the complexity. And so we're pushing some things in products to let them know what we think is going to happen. Like, we think we can go automate 40% of resolutions. We think this is going to lower your cost to serve by X. And we think it's going to take your customer satisfaction up from, depending on if you're doing CSAT, top box, from a 4 to 4.4, if you're doing NPS from a 60 to 67. And so we talk about that with them. And then what they do is we go in through, an implementation with them in an adoption phase to go get that. And we usually do an A/B testing to show them on the platform that we are getting what we promised, okay, through an A/B test, and they are getting the customer satisfaction. One of the biggest worries we see with our customers is, I believe you can go automate X percentage of my interactions. I'm worried that customer satisfaction is going to go down. And companies love the loyalty loop. They love making sure that they have happy customers, and that's the biggest worry. So a lot of times we go in and show through A/B testing that customer satisfaction for the similar kind of interactions is actually going to go up. And once we're able to do that, the rollout, the adoption usually goes pretty quick. That's on the AI agent side. On the human side, we've got a Copilot solution that integrates with the AI agent solution. And so for those kind of interactions you want to go take to your humans, it's a really easy implementation. It's part of the Zendesk platform. You turn it on, your human agents are getting assisted. They're getting suggestions. Hey, this is the ticket came in. This is the reply we're recommending for you. Would you like to accept it? Would you like to change the tone of voice that you're replying? Would you like to add something? Would you like to say this is wrong and we need to go suggest a different reply? And so that's what we go in and talk to our customers about. It's a really, really generally for everyone an easy implementation. But the hardest thing is getting people over the hump that this is going to not degrade customer satisfaction.
You said in your example that you could go in and say there's 40% of customer interactions that can be automated. Where did that number come from? And do you think that this is going to be like an average experience with the company?
Yeah, so what we do is we get permissions from our customers, and we take a look at their interaction data. So we use an algorithm that looks at all their interaction data. So we process about 5 billion tickets, or 5 billion interactions a year almost. And so a company will have a subset of that. We look at the data and we say, based upon what we know, we have over 10,000 AI customers right now. On those 10,000 customers, we think this password reset, we think this return, we think these 17 use cases can be automated. And we tell them this is 3% of your interactions with your customers, this is 4, this is 7. And there's going to be some of those that are going to be really complex that are ultimately going to humans. We break all that down and we say, these are the interaction types. These are the percentage of those interactions or use cases that we think we can automate, and we give them the data. And then we say, hey, we've got 10,000 customers around the world using our resolution platform, and you look like 200 or 300 of those customers, and these are kind of resolution rates that they're getting from doing this automation. So it's not a wet your thumb, put it in the air and kind of guess. This is based on old school, a little bit algorithms, machine learning to predict what kind of resolution rates our customers are going to get. And again, it gets into vertical, the size of the company, are they B2B, B2C? What region are they in? And, it's going to be different in Germany. And even within Germany, it's going to be different between Bavaria and maybe the Berlin, region, or the Berlin city.
That's for sure.
And so we get all that information in and we give them a point of view on what we think we can automate with them.
So is there like a switcher within the software that says, okay, it's coming in as for this type of request, let's give them a human, or it's coming in from this type of request, let's give them robots? And then I imagine the customers are able to, if they need, get to a human if the robot's not able to solve their issue. I mean, for me, I just type agent, agent, agent when I need a person, and eventually that works 50% of the times, I would say. So how's that going to work?
Yeah, so we try to design, some companies just accept, hey, we want to go automate all this. Others will say, we want to automate this unless it's Alex. Alex is one of our VIP customers.
So you can do it by customer. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And Alex, no matter what, even if we could do an instantaneous password reset for Alex, we want to give him VIP service. So
Very
we
needy.
connect Alex with a human being immediately. Okay, so you can put into those kind of you can put into how you configure the system, those kind of segmentation of customers. You can put in if it goes too long, you can go to a human. We again recommend. We think 100% of interactions are going to be AI related, meaning it's either an AI agent or it's a human agent using AI. But we think about 80% will be automated within the next 3 to 5 years, leaving 20% of those interactions still to go to a human being. And so we think it's important to have that whole resolution platform that looks at automation in the human experience. Other people are doing, disconnected things. So if you've got this great AI agent that's really not tied to your human, you're going to get frustrated, Alex. Even before you go agent, you might have a conversation with the AI agent. You don't get total resolution. You want to have all that data, that rich conversation passed on to the human agent, so they're not asking the same 15 questions again. You want them to start where the AI agent left off. And we think that's one of the advantages of the Zendesk Resolution Platform. We realize it's not going to be all automated, and you've got to have these tight links. And even just as importantly, we have something called quality assurance that looks at 100% of interactions, whether it's an AI agent or human agent. And we find out what interactions the humans are doing better, and then we try to train the AI agents with that information. We actually find out what the AI agents are doing better. And for those, you still want to go to the humans for some of those VIPs, and we try to train the humans to do better as well. So you have to have this kind of virtuous loop between human and AI agents on our resolution platform.
Tom, first of all, if you're able to get the human that picks up the line to be cued into what I've spoken with the agent about, you've done us, all humanity, a big service, because all too often in customer service, you go through the same steps again, you put the same account in. So if you're able to make that more seamless, not just myself, but I'm sure half the planet, if not more, will be thrilled about this. And then you brought up the Copilot a couple of times. So what is that going to look like in a customer service agent's dashboard? And then we're going to move on to jobs, because the questions about what will happen to people's jobs are starting to percolate. But I want to know what it looks like in the dashboard.
Old school human agent would get information from a customer, whether it came in a message, a WhatsApp, Apple Business Chat, an email, a web form, you name it, okay? And then they would craft their own reply, and they'd have some canned replies on likely interactions that they could, cut and paste basically, okay? That's kind of old school human agent, resolutions. What happens now is if you have, even on a voice bot, but we'll put voice aside, any kind of digital interaction, the platform should be suggesting a response for you. So it's not you pulling as a human agent, okay, data or response into a response. It's actually, here's the suggested response. We looked at 17 similar customer interactions. This is the response that got the best response. Do you want to personalize it anymore? Do you want to change the tone? Do you want to accept it? Do you want to edit it? And so it's kind of changed in the human agent experience from a lot of times creating things on their own or pulling information in to more of an editor where they're deciding, hey, this is the right response. This maybe it's not the right response because the Copilot does not realize how upset you are, Alex, because you had to type in agent 55 times to get to the human agent, and you've got a really big issue. And so then they can take over and edit and profusely apologize for that experience where maybe the suggested response wasn't there. So we really think it's changing the human agent to higher level tasks, to more of an editor, to more less of a creator, and able to respond more quickly and more accurately to customers.
Yeah, look, I promise I'm not that guy who's getting mad and slamming agent. But anyway,
I always have a lot of empathy for agents, and I say, hey, I'm especially on the phone. If I'm on the phone, I'm not frustrated with you. I realize you're doing your job. It's one of the most difficult jobs in the world because you don't get people to call and say you're doing a great job, but I disagree with your policy or I disagree with the outcome that I'm getting on this particular service. Yeah,
no, definitely, it is without a doubt among, I would say, top 10 hardest jobs in the world to be able to sit and if sometimes have to take it and deal with customers that are not happy. People call customer support lines often because they need an issue resolved, and yeah, I mean that's if you're doing that all day long, that is tough work.
Yeah, most of those jobs have 50 to 100% turnover a year in a
Wow,
lot of
for real?
companies. And so really,
Hmm.
really high turnover because to your point, it's a really difficult job. It's stressful. You need to learn a lot and it doesn't pay that well in a lot of situations. And so we think like Copilot AI is going to help people have a, better job that's higher paying, hopefully. And it's going to allow them to have better job satisfaction because they're able to, answer customers' interactions better.
But will they have a job? Because you mentioned that you want to, what did you say, 80% of
80% we
these
think will be
interactions
automated.
automated? So I guess like companies aren't thrilled necessarily with the way they're doing customer support and customer experience because people are just bogged down handling basic queries and they don't get a chance to take a lot of time to spend with their customers. So this might free the existing customer service reps to spend more time with people. However, there's going to be companies out there that will be like, we can probably get the basics done with robots, and I anticipate there will be layoffs. So what does the job outlook look like from your point of view here?
So a couple things. One is we've seen the amount of interactions, and we do some surveys on this, double the last 2 to 3 years. Okay, and this is for a couple reasons, and we think it's going to continue. Number one, depending on what survey you look at, there's between about 13 and 18% of the world economy is digital economy, and you still have 82 to 88% that is bricks and mortar. That's going to continue to move more e-commerce. The more e-commerce happens, the more online or voice interactions that happen just over time. And so we think that's one trend. Second trend is we've seen with other technology changes, when you lower the barriers to entry, when you lower friction between customers and companies, interactions spike. So we have a point of view that interactions are going to go up between 3 and 5x the next 3 to 5 years. And so what we think is going to happen are interactions are going to go massively up. We're going to help companies automate 80% of them. And you're going to have about the same amount of human beings that you had before in the human agent role because of this, bricks and mortar to e-commerce shift, lower friction, more instantaneous responses. And what we've seen with a lot of our companies is they want to get even better service. And so they realize when it goes to that 20%, so those companies that have got to 80% or plus automation rates, they've actually usually kept their customer service flattish because that last 20% is usually a really irate customer or a customer that has a really, really complex or really, really important interaction. And if you nail that, a lot of times you're going to have a customer for life, or the customer for the next 5 to 10 years. And so what we've seen so far is people have flattened out hiring, just to be clear, on customer service human beings, or slightly up. But what they're doing is really making sure that those people are editors, more highly skilled, and really, really about the customer experience and try to drive customer experience through the roof.
And you might have higher retention because instead of people waiting on the phone for 10 minutes and you being pressured to solve a case in 30 seconds, maybe the companies will say, you know what, take 5 minutes, talk it through. They'll be happier. It'll be a better interaction for the customer.
Alex, you're spot on. There's in the phone contact center world, there's the term called average handle time, and there was always how can you get AHT down. We're starting to see a difference. Exactly what you're saying is, hey, let's talk about the resolution and do we have a positive resolution for the customer? Okay, and that's why we're launching the resolution platform. Less about AHT and more about, because you have a little more capacity if you do the automation right, more about customer satisfaction, more about the loyalty loop.
Yeah, and you've written a little bit about Sebastian Siemiatkowski's plan to purge customer service at Klarna, and you said that's not exactly the right way to go about things. We've had him on, and I think they did have to roll back a little bit in terms of their all in on AI moment.
Yeah, I love when people are like, I don't know Sebastian personally, but like I really respect Klarna, and what he's done, with the Afterpay market, just like created a market himself. I think absolutely fantastic what Sebastian and Klarna have done. He made some bold predictions about what you could do from an AI perspective. And he said he did it a lot on his own. And what I tell our customers, if you want to go spend tens of millions of dollars up front and tens of millions or 5+ million a year on perfecting that. You want to take some engineers, and not every company has engineers like Klarna has engineers, software engineers to go design this. You can probably get a decent customer service solution. I don't think it's going to keep up because we've got thousands of engineers making sure that we're delivering the best for our companies, but you could do it. But I think what he rolled back a little bit was there is still the human element at the end of the day where automation can go solve a lot of things, but it can't solve everything. And so, one of our, missions is that we want to democratize AI. Like I said, there's a really small percentage of companies can do what Klarna did because you have to have the money, the technical knowledge, the software engineers, et cetera, to go do this on yourself, working with OpenAI and, on a really, or, our Anthropic or someone else on a close basis. For the 99% of customers that aren't able to do that, Zendesk wants to democratize this so that they can get a lot of use out of AI on the Resolution platform. We'll automate a ton, but we've got a strong point of view that beings are the customers or the employees at the end of the day. And, you might start out, like we talked about before, Alex, your personal bot talking to a company's AI agent. If you don't get resolution, your bot might go to a human agent. Ultimately, it's going to be back to the human going to the human on a really, really difficult problem. And we always say the customer is always human. And we think, Klarna got a lot of things right, but we think what they got wrong is, for a little bit, they thought they could automate everything and where, maybe forgetting a little bit that the customer is always human.
One interesting thing that Sebastian told me in our interview was that he actually was able to do as much automation as he was because his customer service wasn't built in the right way. And there were a lot of phone trees that were built the wrong way. And therefore, it was easier to automate it with bots. And maybe if you just build it in the right way in the first place, you won't have to resort to this.
And I think that's one of the technical debt for the last 20 years. People built these logic trees, phone and IVR, interactive voice response system that just became spaghetti code. And so I think there's an opportunity where people have got to refresh. And what I always recommend to customers is if you're just going to have the same process, the same people, and do it the same way, a technology upgrade is not going to really help you. You really got to go reimagine processes, people, your customers, how you want to serve them better. And so I think a lot of places are in a similar situation like Klarna. They grew up really fast. And they had kind of, these old school decision trees and old school workflows. It's really, really easy to have a best-in-class customer service platform right now. And we think Zendesk can help customers do that because, we like to think that we're easy to implement, easy to use, and easy to value. And we're democratizing AI for the thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of customers that, don't have the know-how to do it themselves.
Yeah, on those phone trees, I'm just hitting 0. So I think I'm bad. I think I'm just concluding that I'm the most annoying person.
Alex, I'm old enough to remember when I thought those phone trees were a little cool where before the web, you could call in and get your bank balance. And I thought you didn't have to go to the bank. That was really cool. But those IVRs, phone trees, very quickly outlived their usefulness.
I'm with you. All right, we're about out of time. I would just love to hear before we leave, state of Zendesk, because you've had a very interesting recent history. And just give us a view of what the company's up to and where you're heading.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. We just passed, we have about 100,000 customers overall, and we just passed having 10,000 customers on AI. We're excited that, the first act of Zendesk was revolutionizing customer service, help desk, and kind of CRM, customer relationship management for service. And we think we're in this second phase now of disrupting the marketplace again, and disrupting both employee service and customer service. And as you just mentioned, there's a lot of legacy out there. And if you want a beautifully simple, really powerful solution, we think Zendesk is the right way to go. We've really fundamentally shifted the company the last 2 years. Like I said, we've gone from 0 to 10,000 AI customers. We think we're going to have over 20,000 AI customers by the end of the year. We've done some really interesting acquisitions. M&A has been a big organic growth, but M&A has been a really, really key part of that growth strategy. And we're really excited about being on the forefront of this agentic AI revolution. There might be some hype along the way, but In our last quarter, we saw, I'll just give you a range, between 20 and 30% of our bookings being AI related. Versus 0 2 years ago. So kind of getting back to your first point, it's not hype. It's and I'm using bookings as a proxy for customer satisfaction. Our customers wouldn't be buying from us unless they really adopted these great solutions and they got a lot of value from them.
Well, the Zendesk Resolution Platform is out today. If people are interested in learning more, where can they find more information?
They can go to zendesk.com or don't hesitate to go get on our website. We've just rolled out. We were one of those companies that automated too much as well. And so now if you need to, you're going to get click to call. You can get a human being after you go through our AI agent, which we think is going to solve your problem. But go to zendesk.com and we'd love to go interact with you.
Good stuff. Well, Tom, great to see you. And thanks so much for joining the show.
Thanks a lot, Alex. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Tom. And thanks to everybody for watching. We'll be back on the channel with another interview soon.